Okay, this is the second part of Understanding Biblical Prophecy. Again, I am Reverend Howard Sloan, and we're getting ready today during this second section to look at the forms of biblical prophecy. We have five basic forms that we're going to look at: the covenant lawsuit, the woe, the promise, the enactment prophecy, and the messenger speech. So, let's begin by looking at the covenant lawsuit. In the covenant lawsuit, God is making a court case against Israel. And in that court case, God is plaintiff, God is prosecutor, God is judge, and God is bailiff. God is everything in this lawsuit. An example of that comes from Isaiah chapter 3, verses 13 through 26. We have a small sample of that here. The Lord takes his place in court. He rises to judge the people. The Lord enters into judgment against the elders and the leaders of the people. It is you who have ruined my vineyard. The plunder from the poor is in your houses. What do you mean by crushing my people and grinding the faces of the poor, declares the Lord Almighty. So there we have. He enters his judgment. He is making this case, and the case here is, what do you mean by doing this and treating the poor in the way that you have? And God is making a case against Israel for doing this. So that's the basic covenant lawsuit. You will see a good number of those as you go through the Old Testament prophets, particularly. The second is the woe. Now, I want us to understand something as we go through these five. It is possible that one prophecy might fit into a couple different categories. So just to keep that in mind. But the woe oracles contain either explicitly or implicitly three elements. The first is an announcement of distress, like the word woe, for example, the reasons for the distress, and third, a prediction of doom. So all of these things are present in a woe oracle. Habakkuk 2, 6 through 8 is an example of a woe oracle spoken against Babylon. Here we are. Shall not all these take up their taunt against him, with scoffing and riddles for him, and say, woe, there's your woe, woe to him who heaps up what is not his own, for how long, and loads himself with pledges. Will not your debtors suddenly arise, and those awake who will make you tremble? Then you will be spoiled for them, because you have plundered many nations. All the remnant of the people shall plunder you, for the blood of man and violence to the earth, the cities, and all those who dwell in them. If we take a close look at this, we can notice the three parts of the woe oracle. The first, the announcement of distress. Woe to him, the reason for distress, who heaps up what is not his own. For how long? And loads himself with pledges. So here again, this is an issue of taking advantage of the poor. Will your debtors suddenly arise? And then he says, because you have plundered many nations, all the remnant of the people shall plunder you. This is what's going to happen. This is the prediction of doom that is made against, in this case, Babylon. The third kind that we find is the promise oracle, the promise or salvation oracles. Promise or salvation oracles also have three elements to them. One, a reference to the future. Two, a mention of radical change. And three, mention of blessing. Mention of blessing. So we're going to look at Hosea chapter 2, verses 16 through 20 for this. And in that day, declares the Lord, there's that reference to the future. You will call me my husband and no longer call me my Baal. Mention of the radical change. For I will remove the names of the Baals from her mouth, and they shall be remembered by name no more. I will make for them a covenant on that day with the beasts of the field, the birds of the heavens, and the creeping things of the ground. And I will abolish the bow and the sword and war from the land, and I will make you to lie down in safety. Starting to see the blessings here. And I will betroth you to me forever. I will betroth you to me in righteousness and in justice, in steadfast love and in mercy. I will betroth you to me in faithfulness, and you shall know the Lord. This is a perfect example of the promise in biblical prophecy. Not all things in biblical prophecy are bad. Not all of them are disaster. Not all of them are about the bad things, the destruction that God is going to bring. There are some, and I think especially this may apply to like the messianic prophecies, the promise of the things that God will do when his people are faithful, or in this case, actually bringing them back to faithfulness. The fourth kind of prophecy is very, very interesting. It's called the enactment prophecy. Now, the enactment prophecy is interesting because it's not so much about what the prophet says as it is about what the prophet does. Now, I remember taking Old Testament survey, and we actually had someone get up in front of the class. It was one of the teacher's assistants, and actually reenact this prophecy so we could see how it looked. It says, Now you, son of man, get yourself a brick and place it before you and inscribe a city on it, Jerusalem. Then lay siege against it. Build a siege wall. Raise up a ramp. Pitch camps and place battering rams against it all around. Then get yourself an iron plate and set it up as an iron wall between you and the city, and set your face toward it so that it is under siege and besieging it. This is a sign to the house of Israel. So there is something going on here. God is trying to say, there's going to be some destruction that is coming your way, Jerusalem. And he's not just telling them that, but he's using this to show them what exactly happens. I found these pictures that are very neat in terms of how you would see it. There you go, with the city being built, and then we have the, I'm assuming that this right here is supposed to be the iron plate. I'm not sure. But we have the people seeing here. They're looking at it. They're trying to figure out what exactly is happening here. But this is also a good example of what happens when people take Scripture out of context. We have Ezekiel 4:9 bread. We didn't read Ezekiel 4:9 yet. But Ezekiel 4:9, sprouted whole grain bread, right? Ezekiel 4:9. But as for you, take wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and spelt, and put them in one vessel, and make them into bread for yourself. You shall eat it according to the number of the days that you lie in your side, 390 days. So more than a year, he is laying on his side. It's a good thing that they stopped the passage there, however, in their making of their Ezekiel bread. Ezekiel 4:12 says, You shall eat it as a barley cake, having baked it in their sight over human dung. So if they wanted to be faithful, this bread would not only have all those other things to it, that they would have baked it over human dung. And that's just not good. So that's an enactment prophecy. The fourth kind of prophecy that we find is the messenger speech. And the messenger speech is probably the most common of the forms. Often we find this one alongside of other forms. It begins with something like, This is what the Lord says. So Isaiah 38:1-8 is an example of a messenger speech. We're just beginning at verse 5 here. The word of the Lord came to Isaiah, saying, Go and tell Hezekiah, Thus says the Lord, the God of David, your father, I have heard your prayer. I have seen your tears. Surely I will add to your days 15 years. I will deliver you and this city from the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city. And this is the sign to you from the Lord, that the Lord will do this thing which he has spoken. Behold, I will bring the shadow of the sundial, which has gone down with the sun on the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backward. So the sun returned 10 degrees on the dial by which it had gone down. And as we said, this is the simplest of all the forms. It is simply the word of the Lord came to Isaiah as a messenger. And if you remember back to part one of the basic features of being a prophet was being God's covenant spokesman. In all these cases, in various ways, they are acting as covenant spokesmen for God. And so that's all for this part of the lesson, and we will come back and do lesson 3 in the next video.